Operation Halyard, often hailed as the most audacious and successful rescue operation behind enemy lines during World War II, unfolded in the shadowed mountains of Nazi-occupied Yugoslavia in 1944, saving over 500 Allied airmen, primarily Americans, from almost certain capture or death. This remarkable feat was not just a military triumph, but a profound testament to human courage, unlikely alliances, and the sheer will to survive amid the chaos of war. To fully appreciate its scope, we must delve into the broader context of the Allied air campaign that set the stage for this drama. By early 1944, the United States had ramped up its strategic bombing efforts from bases in southern Italy, targeting the heart of Nazi industrial might. The Ploiești oil refineries in Romania were paramount, producing up to a third of Germany's fuel supply, making them a linchpin in Hitler's war machine. Waves of heavy bombers, B-17 flying fortresses with their iconic ball turrets, and B-20 for liberators, known for their long range but vulnerability to flak, thundered across the Adriatic Sea, navigating treacherous routes over occupied Yugoslavia. These missions, part of Operation Tidal Wave and subsequent raids, were grueling. Crews endured freezing altitudes, oxygen masks, and the constant threat of mechanical failure from overloaded bomb bays or battle damage. The toll was staggering. German defenses were formidable. Dense anti-aircraft batteries ringed the targets, and Luftwaffe fighters like Messerschmitt Bf-109s and Focke-Wulf FW-190s swarmed the skies, picking off stragglers. From April to August 1944 alone, over 350 Allied bombers were shot down during Ploiești runs, their crews bailing out in parachutes that bloomed like desperate signals over enemy territory. Many landed in the rugged Dinaric Alps and ravines of western Serbia, a region under the iron grip of the territory of the military commander in Serbia, where German forces, aided by local Quisling militias like the Serbian State Guard and Croatian SA, hunted relentlessly. The airmen, often young men in their early 20s, pilots, navigators, bombardiers, gunners, faced immediate perils, injuries from rough landings, exposure to harsh weather, starvation, or betrayal by collaborators lured by rewards. Some hid in forests for days, subsisting on berries and stream water, while others were captured and marched to POW camps like Stalag Luft III. But for those who evaded initial detection, survival hinged on the locals. Enter the Chetniks, the royalist Yugoslav resistance led by General Draža Mihailović, a charismatic and controversial figure. Mihailović, a decorated veteran of World War I and the 1941 Yugoslav defense against the Axis invasion, had retreated to the hills to form guerrilla bands loyal to the exiled King Peter II. His strategy was pragmatic: hit-and-run sabotage against German supply lines, avoiding pitched battles that could provoke mass reprisals against civilians. When the first Allied airmen began parachuting into Chetnik-controlled areas in late 1943, Mihailović saw an opportunity not just humanitarian, but strategic, to prove his group's value to the Allies and counter British favoritism toward Tito's communists. He broadcast orders via couriers and radio: find the Americans, protect them, feed them, and hide them from the Nazis. Chetnik patrols, often on horseback or foot, combed the terrain, rescuing flyers from crash sites, treating wounds with herbal remedies or smuggled medicines, and escorting them through minefields and patrols to safe villages. The Serbian villagers' role was nothing short of heroic. In places like Pranjani, Ravna Gora, and surrounding hamlets, peasants, impoverished farmers scraping by under occupation, opened their doors without hesitation. Families like the Mihailović, no direct relation to the general or anonymous villagers, shared their hovels. Airmen slept on straw mats in attics or under false floors, while hosts forfeited their own beds. Food was scarce. Occupation had stripped the land, but villagers pooled resources: black bread baked with corn husks or sawdust to stretch flour, goat cheese, yogurt, plums from orchards, eggs from hidden hens, and occasional feasts of roasted lamb when a sheep was sacrificed. Women mended torn uniforms. Children stood watch for German trucks, and elders shared stories to boost morale. The risks were immense. German pacification operations, like those in nearby Kragujevac where thousands were massacred in reprisal for resistance acts, loomed as a constant threat. If an airman was discovered, the Gestapo could raze the village, execute men on the spot, and deport women and children to labor camps. Yet, bonds-formed airmen learned basic Serbian phrases, played cards with kids, or helped with chores, turning strangers into family as the number of hidden airmen swelled to over 500 by summer 1944. Scattered reports trickled back to Allied headquarters in Bari, Italy. Escaped flyers brought tales of Chetnik hospitality, and faint radio signals from hidden transmitters confirmed the buildup. The Office of Strategic Services (OSS), America's clandestine warfare agency and CIA foreigner, mobilized Captain George S. Vujanović, a Pittsburgh-born Serbian-American whose wife Mirjana was Mihailovic's niece, became the operations architect. From his desk in Bari, Vujanović deciphered cryptic messages and lobbied superiors, overcoming British SOE's resistance. The Brits, influenced by Winston Churchill's pivot to Tito after the Tehran Conference, branded Chetniks as collaborators, allegations later refuted by declassified documents showing Mihailovic's anti-Nazi actions. But American priorities differed. Saving their boys trumped politics. President Roosevelt, briefed on the crisis, greenlit the mission in July 1944. Codenamed the Operation Halyard or Operacija Vazdušni air bridge in Serbian to evacuate the men via airlift. Preparation was fraught with delays. 6 parachute drops failed due to fog, navigation errors, or mismatched signals. Finally, on the moonless night of August 2 to 3, 1944, a C-47 dropped the OSS team into a Pranjani meadow. Lieutenant George Gov Musulin, a burly Serbian-speaking OSS veteran and former college football star, Master Sergeant Michael Raja Cich, a tough demolitions expert, and Navy specialist Arthur Jibilian, a radio whiz whose portable SCR 690 for set maintained Morse code links to Bari, greeted by Chetnik guards shouting America ain't I. Americans. They hiked to Mihailovic's Ravna Gora headquarters, a camouflage camp of tents and caves. There, amid jubilant reunions with waiting airmen, some emaciated after months in hiding, the team assessed the situation. Over 250 flyers were already assembled, with more en route, all eager for extraction. The linchpin: constructing makeshift airstrips in enemy territory. No engineers or machinery, just villagers' tools. At Pranjani, a 700-yard valley meadow was selected, hidden by pines and ridges, but perilously short, uneven, and ending in a cliff. For days, a workforce of 200 to 300 Chetniks, airmen, peasants labored under stars and sun. Axes felled trees, shovels cleared rocks, oxen plowed furrows, carts hauled gravel from rivers, women carried water, children gathered stones. The strip was leveled by hand, camouflaged with hay to mimic farmland against Luftwaffe spotter planes. Security was paramount. Mihailović deployed 8,000 Chetniks in a protective cordon, manning machine guns and scouts to deter German incursions from garrisons like Valjevo, just 20 miles away. Rival Tito partisans, advancing from the east. Added tension, skirmishes erupted, with reports of communist sabotage attempts to discredit the Chetniks. The inaugural evacuations electrified the operation. On August 9 to 10, 1944, 6 C-47 Dakotas sturdy transports dubbed Goon birds lifted from Bari, escorted by sleek P-51 Mustang fighters for air cover, crossing the Adriatic in blackout conditions. They descended into the valley guided by bonfires, flares, and jubilant signals. Engines throttled low to avoid detection. Wheels bounced on the rutted dirt as over 240 airmen scrambled aboard. Some carried on stretchers, others hugging tearful villagers goodbye. The planes revved up, cleared the trees by inches, and vanished into the night, landing safely in Italy hours later. Elation spread. Bari brass cheered, and word reached Washington. Follow-up flights on August 12, 48 men, 1572, and 1896 extracted more, often in broad daylight to exploit better visibility, though heightening detection risks. Pilots like Captain John L. Dorsky navigated blind drops, while fighters strafed nearby threats. As autumn advanced and the Eastern Front shifted, the operation adapted. Tito's forces pressured Chetnik areas, forcing relocations. New strips sprang up near Kocelje, Ava, evacuating 20 in September. Banar, Ploiești, and others. Flights persisted amid worsening weather, fog, rain, snow into November 15. Men and the final lift on December 27, 1940 for 20 more. Total tally: 432 American airmen rescued, plus 80 plus Allies, British SO agents, French pilots, Italians, Yugoslavs, even Soviets. Over 512 lives, per declassified OSS records. Some historians note broader Yugoslav rescues, partisans saved 2,000 overall. But Halyard's Chetnik-led phase was unique. No planes lost, no airmen recaptured mid-operation. Despite Germans raiding nearby villages post-evacuation, the human stories enriched the legend. Airmen like Lieutenant Richard Dick Thellman recounted villagers donating wedding rings for bribes or sharing family heirlooms. One pilot, hidden for 13 months, married a Serbian woman post-war. Chetniks like Captain Nick Lalic coordinated logistics, while Musulin's team endured hardships, dysentery, fleas, constant alerts. Post-war tragedy befell the rescuers. Tito's communist Yugoslavia tried Mihailović in a show trial, executing him in 1946 on trumped-up collaboration charges, burying his contributions. Vujanović fled Europe. Musulin and team received Silver Stars. In 1948, President Truman secretly bestowed the Legion of Merit on Mihailović, declassified. 1997. Acknowledging Halyard's debt, survivors formed the Mihailović American Veterans Association, lobbying for recognition today. In 2026, over 80 years later, Pranjani Memorial Airstrip hosts annual ceremonies with U.S. Air Force flyovers and Serbian honors, drawing descendants and historians. Films like The Forgotten 500, based on Gregory Freeman's book, and documentaries revive the tale. Operation Halyard endures as a beacon of wartime heroism. Amid betrayal and ideology, ordinary Serbs and American spies forged an air bridge of hope, proving that compassion can defy even the darkest regimes.